Welcome into the box score. Terry Collins along with Murphy Farrett, Justin Malden, always doing the hard work behind the scenes. And Murphy, it's cold weather. I'm glad basketball is indoor.
I had a conversation with some people earlier in the week, and they were talking about basketball in this area in the 20s and 30s, 1920 and 1930. Right. A lot of these schools didn't have an indoor gym, and they were playing all of their games outdoors. Can you imagine playing a game of basketball outdoors right now?
I would say the crowds would be small.
Lots of fires around the floor, no doubt.
My grandmother, who's Beatrice Kemp, my mother's mother, when she played the county tournament, it was outdoors.
My goodness.
Back in the 30s.
Right.
So that's pretty unique.
We've come a long way, hadn't we?
For sure. And a lot of gyms used to have coal-fired or coal for, that they burnt, or wood fire to heat the gym, which is pretty unique. And reading some of the history.
That beat the heck out of playing outside.
It would. I promise you it would. Let's go ahead and look at our featured game, which was Cannon County and Smith County over at Bill Landers Gym in Carthage. And Lady Owls played well. They win at 64-32. Never my wildest dreams, Murphy, would I have thought that the Lady Owls put together their most complete performance of the year. Emory Jones with 15, Carter Ramsey with 13, including 3 threes. Alexander with 11. But I think Cannon, it was just one of those games where they didn't shoot well. They only hit 14 out of 55 shots for 25%.
Well, that's terrible. And it's like you said, it's just one of those nights. Never in your wildest dreams would you think that Smith County would have doubled up on Cannon. I really wanted to check the rim after the game, make sure there wasn't a piano wire across the
That's true. Go ahead and looking at the Smith County and Cannon County boys. Smith County boys, if you remember in the game at Woodbury, was behind 52-20 at half, lost 84-62 back on December the 19th, and the Owls played one of their better, if not best games. Smith County played awful well at home against the Cab in a 61-60 victory. And they played well on Friday night at home and beat Cannon 59-53. Morgan Sinclair, as a sophomore, leads the way with 18 points, including 4 threes, and Gage Gibbs with 17 points and 4 threes. Tyler Jones, a key for the Owls. The point guard had 8 assists, 4 of those coming in the fourth quarter. Cannon County led by Miles Alexander with 16, including 4 threes, and Antonio Jones winds up with 15 and 3 threes, but quite a turnaround from what we saw in Woodbury.
Well, it certainly was. You wouldn't think those were the same teams. The ones in black and gold and the ones in maroon looked like maybe they swapped uniforms or something, because it didn't look at anything at all like the December matchup that we just talked about.
Go ahead and look at our other game, which we did last night, and that was at Gordonsville. Park Range girls win it 48-29 in our Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week. Katie Hopkins leads Park Range in scoring with 14. Sophie Sitton with 10. That game was 8-7 Park Range after one quarter, but then Clark Range goes on a 16-3 second quarter run. Ashlyn Naylor leads Gordonsville with 6, but Gordonsville just had a lid on the basket. They had a tough time shooting and also with turnovers. Played well enough defensively probably to beat the Lady Buffaloes, but Lamar Rogers adds to his all-time winningest girls coach victory total last night with a win in Gordonsville.
You talked about a long run. Sometimes that's like trying to get that third out in baseball or softball. You just can't stop it. And obviously that's what the big difference in that game had to be.
Looking at the boys game, Gordonsville kept the lead most of the night from 10 to 16 points and won it by a final of 61-48. We'll have Greg Bibb on a little bit later in the show. Gordonsville was up 12 at halftime. I think what Coach Bibb, and he'll probably echo those sentiments when we interview him, they didn't stay focused. Once they got up, Murphy, they kind of let the foot off the throttle, so to say, and maybe didn't perform as well as he hoped they would.
And you can't do that. You gotta use the same energy and focus in the fourth quarter that you had in the first quarter to get you there.
Tucker Smith, a great night offensively for the Tigers. He had 20 points. Carter Gibson had 16. Clark Range led by Brighton Swallows with 17 before he fouled out, and then Tristan Taylor with 12. 3 freshmen played a lot of minutes for Clark Range, and you can look for them in Brent Logan in his second year at Clark Range to really improve. They've improved from what I saw them early in the year when they played against Smith County up at Clark Range in Hall of Fame play. And, you know, it's always a battle in District 7A. Murphy, you can kind of throw the records out the window. You're going to have a tough night each district game.
Absolutely. And having a freshman in there, I've seen probably 3 or 4 teams this year already that had a freshman sensation on the varsity team, and it just kind of goes in cycles like that. And this is one of those years where we've seen quite a few young players like that.
We want to thank PRI, Pavement Restorations Incorporated, for sponsoring our scores, and we'll get to those. We just talked about Clark Range going to Gordonsville and winning 48-29, drops the Gordonsville girls to 5-8 under first-year head coach Terry Prock. And looking at some more scores for the boys, Gordonsville beats Clark Range 61-48, stops a 5-game losing streak, and they improved to 9-6. Hoping to get Brody Sykes back here in another week, and then hopefully after that, Jay Foster, who was a key cog in their state semifinal tournament run, maybe closer to district tournament play. Of course, he's supposed to come out of the brace, I think it is this week, and then he's got about 6 weeks of rehab. That
5-game losing streak would drive any coach insane. They were 8-1, and then all of a sudden the bottom fell out. But hopefully they've got things turned around a little bit, and things will be a little bit better in Tiger Country. Of
course, Gordonsville's 1A, and they were playing a lot of 3A and 4A teams during that stretch.
Yep.
That's true. Let's go ahead and look at Cannon girls. They lost to Smith County 64-32. Then they beat Central Magnet 70-45, and then beat Cascade 66-50. Coach Ashley Patrick's team sitting there at 12-4.
Yeah, they've got a pretty good team, and even though they lost the Teeter girl for the rest of the season, they've got some players that are finally understanding what role they need to move into, a much more important role than they had before she got hurt. I look for them to go deep in the postseason this year too, even with that terrible loss just a few days ago.
Cannon County's boys, of course, they lost at Smith County 59-53. Then they beat Central Magnet. I think that was over in Murfreesboro on Saturday afternoon, 70-45. And then they won against Cascade in district play, 66-50. Jared Naves got his team at 13-6.
Yeah, they're playing really well, especially from beyond the three-point line. It's just amazing. And those are not easy shots to take. They've had people in their face, and they're still getting the shot off from 3, 4, 5 feet behind the arc.
Go ahead and look at the DeKalb County girls. They had one game, and that was a loss at home, 60-45 to Smith County. DeKalb was led by Chloe Van Branken. She had a good game for them. She had 16. Chloe Collins led Smith County with 22. Lady Owls used that pressure defense to build a 53-28 lead after 3 quarters, and then it wound up 60-45. On the DeKalb boys, they avenged the earlier 61-60 loss in Carthage to the Owls with a 50-43 victory. That game was tied at 28-28 heading to the fourth, but Jordan Parker had a huge fourth quarter where they had 22 points total. He had 14, and Dallas Kirby had 8. Parker was 12 of 14 from the free throw line in the final quarter, which keyed the DeKalb County win for Joey Agee, and they now rest at 8-9 as they hit District 7 AAA play wide open.
Basketball in the Upper Cumberland this year has been talked about an awful lot, and I think one of the phrases that's been used the most, any given night. Right. You just never know who's going to show up and how hard they're going to play.
Let's go ahead and look. Smith County girls won 64-32, and then they beat DeKalb 60-45. That's the 5th win in a row for the Lady Owls at 13-4. Looking at the boys for Smith County, they beat Cannon, lost to DeKalb. They now stand at 6-11 under first-year head coach Lane Bassell. Watertown girls lose a disappointing game for Watertown girls when they lost to Trousdale. They dropped to 12-3, and then the boys for Watertown beats pretty handily the boys for Trousdale. Final score there 46-21 to improve to 7-8. We'll have a look at Ashley Patrick as far as she'll join us on the phone when we return, as we remind you, you're watching the Box Score presented to you by Carthage Safeway.
Your trusted friend for all your grocery needs in Smith County is Carthage Safeway, your home-owned and home-operated supermarket. From the delicious USDA steaks in their meat department to the freshest produce around, Carthage Safeway is proud to serve you and your family. Todd and Angela Skurlock and everyone at Carthage Safeway are always there with a friendly smile and a helping hand. Great service, prices, and selection. That's Carthage Safeway, 80 Dixon Springs Highway, Carthage.
Friendly, traditional banking at its best. It's what our customers have learned to expect at Citizens Bank, and we're always happy to deliver, with plenty of options for personal and commercial checking accounts, as well as a variety of loan types. We can help you achieve your financial goals, all with a friendly hometown smile. Citizens Bank at 407 Main Street and 61 Dixon Springs Highway in Carthage, 70 Cookeville Highway in South Carthage, and 530 Gordonsville Highway in Gordonsville. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
DTC delivers the internet you need with customer service that is second to none. We're your friends and neighbors, working non-stop to make everyday life even better.
It's time to go fight switch. Join Team DTC and choose faster internet for game day wins. Get 2 months of free service when you sign up for DTC Internet.
We're standing by, ready to help you take the next step. DTC, making a difference where it matters most.
Hello, I'm Bruce Daniel. I've lived in Cannon County all my life. For the last 59 years, I've only made it across the highway. I married my wife, Melody, in 1981. We hauled our first load of freight in 1983 with one truck and a couple old borrowed trailers. We found a way to make it. Our employees are the backbone of our company. Some of our team members have been with us for more than 30 years.
Here with Coach Ashley Patrick of the Cannon County Lionettes. And Coach, we appreciate you taking time. I know this cold weather is not conducive to being outside, so you might as well come inside and watch some basketball inside a gym that's heated.
That's right. I was not made for this weather, that's for sure.
Coach, when you look, I know you're still adjusting to being without Abilene Teeter. That's a hard ask. It's a hard find. I know as your team gets ready and goes, on into January and gets ready for tournament play, then that's one thing that unfortunately you've got to do is play without your outstanding senior who's out with a knee injury.
Yeah, it's been emotionally and mentally tough for everybody over here, but it's really hard when it's in the middle of the season and you're having to just revamp every single thing that you do, and it's been hard, I think, on Addie King a lot because the position she was in, she's kind of had to shift over into Abby Lynn's spot. So she's she knew some of the stuff, but it's like getting the mindset more of like, all right, now I'm in the scoring role and I'm not in the passive role. So just getting kids to understand that what their role was 2 weeks ago is not their role anymore.
Coach, I think one of the young ladies who has really done maybe more than her share to fill that void, and that's Abby Alexander. She scored 18 points in that first full game against Central Magnet, scored 19 Tuesday night of this week at Cascade in a district ball game, and I think she's finally understood that, hey, I'm one of those people that needs to step up and show some leadership, and I think she's done a really good job in that department.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about the shift of roles, and Abby really understood that her role had changed. And that's really hard for a point guard to, that's usually a more passive player. So she's had to become passive and scoring. So she can take on that role. I'm not worried about that. She's definitely got the skill too, but she's kind of put the team on her back right now. And me to the other kids, I'm saying to them, like, when is it going to get too heavy for Abby? Like, at what point is someone else going to step up and take a little bit off her load? So that's kind of what I'm challenging my other kids to do, is like, who else is going to handle the ball if she's in foul trouble? Or, she gets her finger knocked and she has to sit out a few minutes. Who else is going to score the ball? Who else is going to rebound the ball? So it's just getting other people to step up around her.
Coach, when you look, there's nothing magical that you can do as a coach when you lose a player that I say has all the tools in the toolbox. And so different people have to fill different roles, whether it's defensively, assisting, rebounding, defending the other team's best player. And I know sometimes, as we talked earlier about redefining those roles, that's hard to do, especially if it's younger players or players that are getting time now that maybe didn't earlier in the year.
Yeah, and we're actually in practice right now, and just what I talked about to the team, I'm like, we don't know who is separating themselves because we haven't seen it yet. Like, no one is choosing to separate themselves from someone that wants to play. So this is your time. We're in practice or in a JV game. Like, we need to see somebody else that wants to play. And back to the defensive, what you were saying about defensive roles, we also can't put Abby on the best player, even though she's one of our best defenders, because we can't have Abby in foul trouble right now. So it's not just the offensive end, it's who else is going to step up on defense, because when Abby goes out, that affects everything. So we've got to find people on both ends of the court that can defend and score the ball.
Coach, I think during the season up until last week, when we lost Abby Lynn, you used a lot of people on the bench. There was a pretty good rotation. It wasn't just 5 or 6 girls. Obviously, that has increased a little bit the last 2 or 3 ball games, but I guess that's something that all coaches kind of have to prepare for. You hope you never have to go there, but when you do have to go there, you're a little bit more prepared. And I think those girls that maybe were getting minimal amount of time are adjusting very well to more time on the floor. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah. We're really honestly just trying to figure out who is the next person, who is the person that's going to step up. And I just told them out there, I don't need you to score 20 points. I don't need you shooting 3 foot from behind the 3-point line. I need you to defend, and I need you to not turn the ball over. That's really what I'm asking. And sometimes I think that that's a misconception about when kids go in the game, that coaches are really wanting to see how many points they can score. Like, I don't need you to score any points. I've got the players that can do that around you. I just need you to fill the role and to be a positive impact when you're in the game.
Matt and I have been much, much closer to the Cannon County bench to where I can hear an awful lot of what you're shouting out to the girls or telling to the girls just before they take to the floor. And I noticed that on Tuesday night of this week when we were at Cascade, a couple of times you were sending a defender into the game, and I heard you say, I don't need you to score, I need you to play defense. And that's exactly what happened.
That's been something that we've really tried to take pride in since I've got here. Because you're always going to score the basketball. I mean, it may not be a ton of points, but if you can keep the other team from scoring the basketball, it doesn't matter how many points you can score because they can't score either. So we kind of ran into that over the summer. Like when we played Lebanon, we couldn't score great on them, but they couldn't score on us. So it was like 4-6 at halftime. So it's just, if it's a defensive effort, I feel like the points will fall at some point. And that's really what we're trying to make an emphasis to our kids about.
Coach, we've talked about losing Teeter. I know, though, your other players that are starters have had to look for their shot more or look to create their shot more. And sometimes that's hard to do, especially if you're a kind of a passive offensive player and not used to maybe driving the ball maybe as much. I know that's something, it's hard to cover everything when you lose a player of Abby Lynn's ability and the things that she can do. But when you redefine those roles, I know that may take a little while to adjust.
Yeah, and I just want to say about Abby Lynn, in my opinion, Abby Lynn was one of the best players in the state. She, on both ends of the floor, it wasn't just on one end of the floor, but she played hard every night. So, just a shout out to her. And but I feel like we've kind of told our team a shot is better than a turnover. So kind of at this point, I want everybody to be comfortable with just taking a shot, like whatever it may be, because some of the time when we don't get a shot on goal, we're turning the ball over. So you see Molly over there in the corner taking a lot of threes. That's better than a turnover for us. You get the opportunity to get an offensive rebound, an easy putback, and that's always better than a turnover. So we're just trying to encourage our kids that, hey, if you've got something, you've got to take it, because in February, we want everybody comfortable shooting the ball.
Coach, I looked a good bit on Coach T this morning, just trying to see how the other teams that have been on our schedule have done, and whether that is something that could be used from time to time. And the one thing that stood out the most, our very first game of the season, when we played Blackman's girls in one of those Hall of Fame games, we won that game by 2. I think it was 59-57. Right now, Blackman is 15-2 playing 4A basketball. That's a pretty good feather in your cap, I think, and one that maybe the girls need to remember on a positive note. Hey, we beat one of the best 4A teams in the state that's only got 2 losses, and one of those is to us.
Yeah, and that was a great win for us, but I think social media and just getting on things like that really can make it hard on kids these days, because it's like the other day, I know some of my kids were talking about the coverage that they put out of our last Smith County game, and some of them were like, where was the coverage the first game? And it can be such a mental battle for kids to see like, oh, how's the team doing against another team? Because it's like, oh, well, they missed our positive game, but they only saw our negative. And sometimes I feel like kids feel that way. So we do try to look at how other teams are doing that we've matched up with, but I don't want that to be, the only focus of what we're looking at, because when we go into the game, I want it to be more about like, what can we do? How can we run this game and keep the other team from doing what they love to do? So we try to just make it more about what we're doing.
Well, Coach Patrick, we appreciate you visiting with us. I echo your sentiments as just a broadcaster and a player that's got to see Abby Lynn Teeter play for 4 years now. She seems like as good a person off the court as she is on the court, and best of luck to her and her future.
Thank you so much. I'll relay that to her.
Thanks, Ashley.
We will have more interviews on the box score, brought to you by Carthage Safeway when we return. As we remind you, you're watching DTC 3 Sports.
Friendly, traditional banking at its best. It's what our customers have learned to expect at Citizens Bank, and we're always happy to deliver, with plenty of options for personal and commercial checking accounts, as well as a variety of loan types. We can help you achieve your financial goals, all with a friendly hometown smile. Citizens Bank at 407 Main Street and 61 Dixon Springs Highway in Carthage, 70 Cookeville Highway in South Carthage, and 530 Gordonsville Highway in Gordonsville. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Why do our customers choose Homeland Community Bank? Because we're committed to providing top-quality financial services while focusing on those personal banking relationships that treat you like the friends and neighbors that you are. From checking and savings to loans of all types, including those focused on business, Homeland Community Bank is truly ready to meet your needs. Contact us today to make the switch to better banking. Homeland Community Bank. Banking by the people, for the people. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Regardless of where you call home, you can relax even more when you trust DTC Security to keep tabs on your home and your family's safety.
For just $49.99, get a system with a touch keypad, 3 window or door sensors, motion detector, key fob, and standard installation. Play defense like a pro with DTC Security.
Don't wait until something happens. Contact DTC Security now and take the worry away at your home.
Your trusted friend for all your grocery needs in Smith County is Carthage Safeway, your home-owned and home-operated supermarket. From the delicious USDA steaks in their meat department to the freshest produce around, Carthage Safeway is proud to serve you and your family. Todd and Angela Skurlock and everyone at Carthage Safeway are always there with a friendly smile and a helping hand. Great service, prices, and selection. That's Carthage Safeway, 80 Dixon Springs Highway, Carthage.
And welcome back to the Box Score, brought to you by Carthage Safeway. And we've been joined by Luke Dycus, not only a football person for us here for DTC. I think he does color along with Coach Vance. But we're going to flip hats and talk about basketball and specifically refereeing at the high school and college level. Luke, welcome in.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you guys taking the time and having me on. I really do. Y'all do a wonderful job, by the way, man.
We appreciate that. Luke, when you're looking just for a week, I know, or I've heard you talk before about your schedule, but you, besides having a full-time job, tell us your games, how many nights a week, and how much travel's involved with that.
When we all went home for Christmas break here, I left that afternoon and I was gone for, I was gone out of the 2 weeks. I was gone for a week and a half. I actually spent New Year's on the road. I had been up into Kentucky and Virginia, and then left there and went to North Carolina, and then got home this past Sunday night. And then, of course, we had snow and whatnot, bad weather for Monday and Tuesday. But I would have been at school on Monday if we'd had school. And then, so it depends. My schedule, a lot of times, I may be doing a high school game tonight somewhere on the Cumberland Plateau. And then tomorrow night, I may be in Charlotte doing a game or whatever. Kind of give you an example. Tomorrow night, I'll be at the University of Alabama, Huntsville. They're in the Gulf South Conference. I'll do that game on Thursday night, tomorrow night, and then I'll travel from there and go to Pensacola, Florida. I'll leave out early Friday morning from Huntsville and go to Pensacola. So I'll travel all day going to Pensacola, and then I have a 4:00 tip on Saturday afternoon in Pensacola, and after that game, I'll drive back 5.5 hours to Atlanta, where I'll have a game in Atlanta, 2:00 Sunday afternoon, and after that game, then I'll return home, and then I'll start doing ref laundry and getting ready for the week as far as school and high school games, and go from there. So I spent a lot of time in the car, and spent a lot of time in hotels, and spent a lot of time blowing a whistle.
Luke, I've got a burning question I've got to ask. It's a two-part question. First of all,
yes,
are you married?
Yes, sir.
And for how many years?
It's coming up on 28 years.
Oh my gosh, well, I just celebrated 26, and if you're gone that much, that's probably one reason that you all have been married so long. You don't see her very much.
You're exactly right. Yes, sir. I would have to concur with that statement. Yes, sir.
I have said for many years, everyone ought to do two things in life, and then they'd never have to complain about anything. And one of those is to officiate a high school athletic event, and the other one is run for public office. I've done both of those things. I did my officiating a long time ago when I was in college, and I figured out right then and there, this is not for me. I was too thin-skinned to handle that, but I'd say that's probably a pretty good thing to go by, the officiating part and running for public office. And I guess that's one reason I don't hear you complaining about the officiating when you all are doing football games on TV.
Well, to be honest, I've been around a schoolhouse and gyms and football fields all my life, my dad took me to games when I was little, and I always looked up to high school athletes and high school coaches, and there were high school officials that I liked. And so, and when your father is a principal and was there as long as my father was, it's not hard to get to know coaches, players, and also referees. And although I've never been in public office, that's something I've always felt like there's no way I could do that. And I have a close friend and workmate that has been in the public side, been in public office, and did a great job at that. But I don't see how he did it. And then there's days he'll say to me, I don't see how you referee. But, refereeing's tough at times, and you do have to have thick skin. And to be honest with you, and I've even said this to Mr. Justin Malden and Coach Chris Vance before, is technically I'm I guess a soft-hearted guy. And, I don't like to see anybody upset or, disagree with something, whatever. I like to see people laugh and smile and have a good time. But unfortunately, in the business that I'm in conflict resolution. And so that's, you have to have thick skin at times. And to be honest with you, I wish I'd started refereeing earlier in life, because it's helped me to communicate with folks better, number one. And I still, goof up with communication at times and think, golly, I wish I hadn't said that, or, I wish I'd have put it a different way or whatever, but we're human. And, but I love officiating, and officiating has done a lot for me, and has afforded me the opportunity to go to a lot of different states and meet a lot of different people and coaches, but especially referees. And it's about relationships. I've said this to the DTC football crew that, it's all about relationships.
Amen to that.
Making friends and knowing that if I've got a hard day, and there's times, we call it windshield time in college basketball, where, you may come out of a gym at 10 or 10:30 at night, and you got to drive 4 or 5 hours to the next game site. And you're thinking, good Lord, I'm worn out. I've taught all day, and then I had to travel to get to this game site. Now I've got to travel 5 more hours, 2 states away or whatever. And you're going, holy cow. And I can make a phone call because I know somebody is probably doing the same thing I'm doing, is driving.
Sure.
And so you learn about guys, you learn about what makes them tick, and you learn about their families and how they got into officiating. And, there's some really, really great individuals in refereeing, like there are in teaching and coaching. And I've always admired people in the education business. I've always done that. I got to meet Ken Melton, who's a supervisor of officials for the NCBOA and covers this area here for us. And he's been my boss for 17 years. I've enjoyed working for him. He gave me my first start, and he believed in me when nobody else did, even when I didn't even believe in myself. Mm-hmm. And he and Rick Shoulders, tried to train me and teach me a little bit. I've not gotten any better. I've gotten worse, if anything, guys, but they felt sorry for me, and they kept believing in me. And so I've been fortunate and been able to move up and do some things, do a couple state tournaments, do several NCAA tournaments. And I'm very thankful for the individuals that God's put in my life and allowed me to be a part of this crazy thing called officiating basketball.
Luke, I will say this about you, and I'm way too honest about referees when I'm on the radio and sometimes on DTC, but the one thing that I like about Luke Dycus is he communicates with the coaches and with the players. There are some referees, and I'm not going to call any names, that have that. I don't know that they can't do that. And I feel like, as been an official for 30 plus years, that's one of the keys to it, is that you form a good relationship. You're able to talk with a coach. You're able to talk with a player. I just think that's better in the long run than having that 10 foot tall and bulletproof maybe attitude.
Well, I think one thing that, as I said, that refereeing has taught me to communicate, and I still struggle with that at times. But I try to treat people when I'm in a game, a coach, even if he's upset or she's upset with me, I try to treat them with respect, because in my eyes, honestly, one thing, and my dad asked me, he said, what do you think about being an official? And I told him, I feel like I'm an ambassador for the game of basketball. A lot of people think the ambassadors of the game of basketball are the whole Harlem Globetrotters, but actually, I feel like it's guys and girls that wear stripes like me every night. And there's some out there that are many that are out there way better communicator than I am, and they can do it a lot better than I can. But I just try to approach it from the standpoint, hey, this guy's coaching for his team, he's coaching for his school, and he loves the game, or he wouldn't be giving all this time. And I feel like it's only right if a coach asks me, Luke, why did you call that a foul? Hey, coach, this is what I saw.
If you want to become an official, let our viewers know what you need to do.
One thing you can do is go on to the TSSAA.org website, and there's a thing under officials, and you can go on there and put in whatever you're interested in officiating, and that information will be sent to the TSSAA office in Hermitage, and then they will get it to the area supervisor in that sport. So let's use, I brought up Ken Melton a moment ago. So if you say live in Smithville, or you live in Carthage, or you live in Gordonsville, or wherever, and you want to officiate, you go in there and you fill out that information. When it sees your address, it'll pull it up and it'll say, okay, they're interested in basketball, they live in this area. That would be in Ken Melton's association. And so it would send that information to Ken, and then Ken would reach out to them and say, hey, this is how you need to go about it, get in. And sometimes Ken will even ask me, he'll say, hey, Luke, would you contact this person and, talk to them a little bit about getting started. And I enjoy doing that. Matter of fact, I put on some clinics and stuff for individuals and showing them how to get in and how to get, registered with TSSAA.
Well, Luke Dycus, we appreciate you taking time to visit with us, and best of luck.
Hey, y'all are too kind. Thank you, gentlemen, and have a great rest of your week.
Thanks so much. Luke Dycus has been our interview, and we'll have Greg Bibb, the Gordonsville boys coach, when we return, as we remind you, watching the box score, presented to you by Carthage Safeway on DTC 3.
Your trusted friend for all your grocery needs in Smith County is Carthage Safeway, your home-owned and home-operated supermarket. From the delicious USDA steaks in their meat department to the freshest produce around, Carthage Safeway is proud to serve you and your family. Todd and Angela Skurlock and everyone at Carthage Safeway are always there with a friendly smile and a helping hand. Great service, prices, and selection. That's Carthage Safeway, 80 Dixon Springs Highway, Carthage.
If you're a commercial driver looking for a company to call home, Huff and Puff Trucking is the company for you. Our employees are professional and dedicated individuals that take pride in what they do. We offer an outstanding pay package with a dispatch structure that maximizes your home time. To learn more about a company that knows you by name and treats you like family, call us at 1-800-965-5033 or visit our website at huffpufftrucking.com.
DTC delivers the internet you need with customer service that is second to none. We're your friends and neighbors, working non-stop to make everyday life even better.
It's time to go fight switch. Join Team DTC and choose faster internet for game day wins. Get 2 months of free service when you sign up for DTC Internet.
We're standing by, ready to help you take the next step. DTC, making a difference where it matters most.
Why do our customers choose Homeland Community Bank? Because we're committed to providing top-quality financial services while focusing on those personal banking relationships that treat you like the friends and neighbors that you are. From checking and savings to loans of all types, including those focused on business, Homeland Community Bank is truly ready to meet your needs. Contact us today to make the switch to better banking. Homeland Community Bank, banking by the people, for the people. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to the box score. Murphy Fair along with Terry Collins, always Justin Malden doing a great job for us. We want to thank all our fine sponsors. We ask you to patronize these people. And we've been joined by Greg Bibb, the Gordonsville head coach, coming off a big district win last night over at Clark Range, 61-48. Coach, I know that just to get a district win and get started on a positive foot after losing 5 in a row. I know that you're happy for that.
Oh, yes, sir. It was good. It was very much needed last night after the last week and a half or 2 weeks that we've had. We dropped 5 in a row. 4 of those we didn't have our Sykes kid, Brody Sykes, and he rolled his ankle against Clinton in the second game of the DTC Christmas Classic, and has been out ever since. Hopefully getting him back very soon. And he's a leader on the floor. He's a leader in the locker room. He's just one of those kids that you're always hearing, no matter if you're on the bench or you're in the crowd, you're always hearing his voice on the floor. So not having him there, and then plus playing a lot better competition over the last 2 weeks too. I mean, going up to Sevierville and playing Knox West, who's probably one of the best teams I've ever played. The personnel they have, the style they play, and it's really good for us to see that, but we didn't handle it very well the last 2 games against 2 other, I think, 3A or 4A schools, being tied with them at halftime, being a close game in the third quarter. Our team having a coach that gets stuck in late third, early fourth quarter that helped things get out of hand to 13, 14 points, but still we competed in that. So I took them up there with the purpose of putting them in a tough situation and making us respond out of it, and hopefully it pays off. And, it showed at times last night against Clark Range. We had a really good start to it. I'm not real happy about how we finished it, but we had a good start.
Coach, I ask a lot of other coaches about how they got into the profession and why they chose a particular sport over others. And I've always thought that being a basketball coach is probably the toughest. I mean, you're only dealing with 12 or 15 kids. You're working with only 5 involved in the game at a time. And I just think it's a whole lot more personal than football or baseball or some of the other high school sports. Would you agree with that?
Oh, it is. And anytime you're coaching anything, and I tell my kids and anybody I talk to, anything you do in life, it's about relationships and how well you build them. Because, if your kids don't like you, they're not going to play hard for you.
Right.
You got a lot less kids to deal with than, say, football or baseball, things like that. That gives you an opportunity to really enhance the relationship between yourself and the kids.
Coach, I thought last night that Tucker Smith really looked to score offensively. He led you with 20 in the 61-48 victory. Carter Gibson, as always, I called him the microwave, I think, because he heats up so fast. And then Mason Greer, solid play in the post for you with 11. I know that, not having Sykes and a 6'6" kid that not only is good on offense but solid on the defensive end and such a presence for you, I know you'll welcome his return. But I think you've got some other kids that are stepping up for you that hopefully will parlay into great play in January and February and on into the district tournament.
Absolutely. And, like you said, Brody does a lot for us, but Tucker, I think, played the best game that he's played other than Sub-State last year here. I think he played a phenomenal game in the Sub-State game. But last night, very aggressive. Tucker's really athletic. He's more athletic than what you think. And he can shoot it as well. He just don't look for it enough, I don't think. But he did last night, and we needed him to last night, being a little bit shorthanded. And and you know what you're going to get out of Carter. You're going to get some of those little floater passes that make you want to lay hands on him sometimes. I told him in practice the other day that if he throws another little soft pass, I'm going to put a shot collar around his neck to remind him not to throw it again. But he did a good job. And Mason Greer, man, it's hard not to think about it. What if he'd have played all 4 years? He did a great job last night. He's getting a lot better finishing around the rim. Threw a pass to Clinton Pope last night from post to post that hit Pope in the chest and that he wasn't expecting. Doing a lot better defensively. Mason's a smart kid too, and he's not only smart and he knows what's going on, but if he don't know, he asks questions. And love that about a player. And then you look at another one in James Peoples, that usually, he just had an off night last night, but usually is putting up in double figures as well. So, in times that we need people to step up, we've been fortunate enough to have people that are willing to do that.
Coach, I want you to go back maybe 10 or 12 weeks and think about what your hopes for this year's Tiger basketball team were at that time, and where are you now compared to where you hoped you would be in early to mid-January?
Well, I think you go back 12 weeks ago, that would take us back to the end of football season, and we still thought we had Jay Foster too, right. Which is we're still going to get him back. It's just a matter of when, if it's going to be district tournament or just before. We had aspirations of having those guys, everybody that came back for us, 5 guys that played on that team, that got to the state tournament and the state semifinals, and I don't think anything changed. I think that's what we expected when we came into this, and that's still what we expect. You got a tough road to hoe here in this district when you got Clay County, you got Pickett County. Every single year you got to go through, and then you got a Joe Burns in the region that's really, really good. So it's tough to get through there, but I think we're just as good to get there as anybody else is. I think we had just as good a chance.
Coach, when you look last night, one thing I did notice, your team was up 16, and they didn't get back down the floor like Coach Greg Bibb thought they should, and you exploded off the bench with a timeout. And I noticed that they didn't get real close because of the spray, maybe, I'm not sure. But your face got pretty red there, and I think you made the point, guys, we can't relax regardless of what the score was. And I think that was a teaching moment for your team. Not that anybody was loafing or being lazy, but still, you've got to play for 32 minutes. And when you get against a Clay County or a Pickett County, you've got to have that effort for the whole time.
Well, that's it. And, you're creating, what I tell my kids all the time is you're creating habits, whether they're good or bad, all the time. And right there was creating a bad habit where you're completely checked out, where we're not even, and actually it's pulled up on my office TV right now. I just got through watching it for about the 5th time. The kid, we got 3 kids back, and they're standing there talking at the head of the circle, and they have one kid that's all the way about right in front of their bench, and all he does is walk through to the corner, and we have no clue, and we're completely oblivious. And that's after a free throw, when you should be, while the free throw shooter's shooting, we should be communicating right then. Who do we have? What's our matchup? But we're completely oblivious, and this happened several times in the second half. Not that exact instance, but several times in the second half where we get up 16, and we give up Carter Gibson gives up a back door on an out-of-bounds underplay. And instead of having an opportunity to go up 18 or 20, now they cut it back to 14, and they got a little bit of momentum. And that's what I'm trying to talk to these guys about, and what I expect out of them, out of a veteran team, is that once you get up 14-16, the other team starts pressing and don't give up, and we don't give up something easy. They take a bad shot, or they're pressing on the offensive end, and then we extend that lead out from 16. And what great teams do is they extend that lead from 16 to 25 before they even know it, because they're pressing, and they're also getting out and gambling in passing lanes, and we're disciplined, and we're getting a back cut, or we're getting a curl cut, or we're getting to the free throw line, and we're extending that lead. That's what good teams do. And that's what frustrated me last night about the second half.
Kind of makes you wonder if you got in the right profession or not, doesn't it, Coach?
Absolutely. I questioned all the way home. My wife told me on the way home she thought I was going to have a heart attack later.
Oh, dear.
I would echo those sentiments, Coach.
Tell us where your district and regional tournaments are going to be this year.
District tournament and region tournament will be at Livingston Academy.
Okay.
Now, the first round of the region, of course, is going to be satellited, so it'll be at the higher seed.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I know there's a lot of Tiger fans out there, and just, we still got a lot of basketball ahead of us, but it'll be here before we know it, and I know they'd like to know how many gallons of gasoline.
It's amazing how fast that we've gotten to where we are right now.
Right.
Well, Coach Bibb, best of luck. Hopefully you get all those players back on the floor and are at 100% and full guns as you head to the district and region and state tournament.
Well, thank you so much, and really appreciate what DTC does for us and everything you've done in the past and what you continue to do.
Coach Greg Bibb's been our guest, and we'll have some more previews of the upcoming games when we return to the Box Score, presented to you by Carthage Safeway.
Why do our customers choose Homeland Community Bank? Because we're committed to providing top-quality financial services while focusing on those personal banking relationships that treat you like the friends and neighbors that you are. From checking and savings to loans of all types, including those focused on business, Homeland Community Bank is truly ready to meet your needs. Contact us today to make the switch to better banking. Homeland Community Bank. Banking by the people, for the people. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hello, I'm Bruce Daniel. I've lived in Cannon County all my life. For the last 59 years, I've only made it across the highway. I married my wife, Melody, in 1981. We hauled our first load of freight in 1983 with one truck and a couple old borrowed trailers. We found a way to make it. Our employees are the backbone of our company. Some of our team members have been with us for more than 30 years.
Regardless of where you call home, you can relax even more when you trust DTC Security to keep tabs on your home and your family's safety.
For just $49.99, get a system with a touch keypad, 3 window or door sensors, motion detector, key fob, and standard installation. Play defense like a pro with DTC Security.
Don't wait until something happens. Contact DTC Security now and take the worry away at your home.
Friendly, traditional banking at its best. It's what our customers have learned to expect at Citizens Bank, and we're always happy to deliver, with plenty of options for personal and commercial checking accounts, as well as a variety of loan types. We can help you achieve your financial goals, all with a friendly hometown smile. Citizens Bank at 407 Main Street and 61 Dixon Springs Highway in Carthage, 70 Cookville Highway in South Carthage, and 530 Gordonsville Highway in Gordonsville. Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
Welcome back to the Box Score. Terry Collins along with Murphy Fair. And Murph, we're going to look at the upcoming area games. We'll start out with our featured game, and I'm really looking forward to this girls game when the Lady Owls in Watertown travel. Our Watertown host, Watertown very much improved. Smith County's won 5 in a row going into their game with Monterey. Of course, inclement weather is upon us, they say, coming up on Friday. Smith County moved their game to Thursday with Monterey, but Watertown and York are playing on Thursday as well. And I think that's going to be, for their girls, a big game because Watertown, hey, they're no joke.
No. I remember the interview, a week or 2 weeks ago we had with their coach over there, and she's really excited about her team and what they've done thus far, and that should be a great warm-up for district tournament time for both of these teams.
Definitely should. 2 of the top teams in the District 5 AA. The boys game, of course, you got Kevin Honeycutt's team. They've struggled to score at times this year against a team from Smith County that's very young and has struggled either on offense or defense. So both games should be a good one. Let's go ahead and look at the replay dates. Friday, January 17th, Saturday, January 18th, and Sunday, January 19th at 7 o'clock. Then on Monday, January the 20th, it will be at 1 o'clock.
That should be one everybody wants to watch if they didn't make the game in person.
And you may can watch it 2 or 3 times if you like.
Absolutely. I bet the coaches will, for sure.
True. That is true. Let's look at the upcoming games for Cannon County. They've got Community at home. If I remember right, that is a district game for
it is.
The Vikings and Queens, as they call them.
Queens, that's amazing.
From Unionville. And then, of course, that game going to be moved to January the 21st in all likelihood at Forest, because most people on Friday night, Murphy, are probably going to be snowed in.
I think so. It's interesting, of the next 8 games that Cannon County has, 5 are on the road. So not many more home games left, and they're all district games too.
go ahead and look at the DeKalb County schedule. Of course, they've moved their game to Thursday night as well when they travel to Sparta. I think Joey Agee's Tiger team, off their win over Smith County, White County boys down a little bit this year, and Cumberland County boys have struggled at times this year, as has their girls. So, DeKalb County would love to start out the district with a couple of games for Coach Brandy Alley and Joey Agee.
That could put them in a very good position, envious position with wins over White and Cumberland counties both.
Looking at the Gordonsville upcoming games, they are keeping their game on Friday night. Of course, all of this is weather dependent. They play Red Boiling at home. Red Boiling teams both have struggled so far this year, and that should be a closely contested girls game. You never can tell. For the last few years, that's been the number 4 and number 5 team in the district, with Clay County, Clark Range, and Pickett battling out at the top. And then a boys game that's going to be very interesting if Brody Sykes, especially if he gets back when Gordonsville boys travel to Pickett County on Tuesday night, January the 14th. That should be a big one. Of course, Pickett County girls, the defending Class A state champion.
Yeah, a lot of basketball still on the immediate calendar, so better get busy and mark what nights you want to go, for sure.
That's the thing about district play, Murphy. I think that when these teams get to that, you look forward to that, because a lot of them are longtime rivals that have historic gyms that are just kind of like going to Clark Range is about like going to Hoosiers to me. I make that analogy because that gym is very old, and just the history reeks when you go to places like that.
Yeah, if you could listen to conversations in those gyms like that during the games, somebody certainly is going to say, you remember that game back in the 60s when we were so good and y'all were so bad, or vice versa. It's pretty special.
And the one thing about that, Murphy, when you look at the district, whether it's 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, the history, the heritage, I guess, that teams have left with state championships, with long runs in the postseason play, a lot of those teams making it to Murfreesboro, that makes it awful special.
Well, it does, and I understand why we've gone from 3 to 4 classifications, and football's gone all the way to 6. But there's something special when a team like Harriman or Union City goes up against a team like Oak Ridge or Dobbins Bennett and wins the state tournament. Those are the games you really talk about, and we don't have that anymore.
That's true. Smith County games that are upcoming, of course, they've moved their Friday night game with Monterey back to Thursday night. They're supposed to play Clark Range on Saturday, January the 11th. Of course, everybody's expecting that to be postponed, of course, with Clark Range up on the Cumberland Plateau. They have not set a rescheduled date for that. And then the game that we talked about will be our Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week on DTC Sports. Both games should be good ones when Smith County goes over to Watertown. That girls' game has really intrigued me.
Maybe they could get the hockey sticks and pucks out, and if they can't, if they have to, and just make it a hockey match.
I hear you. Watertown's games, they've got York on Thursday. That girls' game should be interesting. I've kind of went on a limb and said, hey, you better watch Watertown's girls, and that could be a big feather to their cap. They're playing 2 home games against 2 of the top teams. Of course, Jackson County girls, very solid as well. But when you look, a lot of people think Jackson, York, Watertown, and Smith, throw them in a hat, drag them out. There's not a whole lot of difference. So it's going to be a key, if you're at home, Murphy, to get district wins.
Yeah, and all of these communities support their teams so very, very well. The crowds will make a big difference in some of these ball games.
Definitely will. And we look forward to these upcoming games as now you get into the meat of that district.
And the potatoes.
That's true. I like both of those. We want to thank Justin Malden's always doing a great job behind the scene. And for Murphy Fair, and I'm Terry Collins. Good night from a box score. Stay warm and stay out of that snow.